Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of the 10th Divine Podcast. This show connects fans and players of the Elder Scrolls games to the community. I'm your host, Crown Esso, and today it's all about the memes. The Elder memes, that is. So, do you prefer Elder or memes?
I feel like I go by memes way more often. I've had a few people refer to me as Elder, and it definitely feels like, no, Elder's my dad. You know?
Perfect. So, how you doing this week? How things been?
It's been good. It's been good. I feel like it's been a busy week, but I don't know. Knocked out some good stuff and got time to hop on here, which I feel like is an honor. What about you? How's your week been?
Like I was saying in the pre-show there, it's not been overly productive, but nothing bad has happened. So, like, it's a win, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Waiting for the shoe to drop the whole week.
Yeah, like there's like this lingering, like obviously this is this second weekend of March. I guess we have the time change happening tonight, so maybe that's gonna be my impending doom. I lose an hour of sleep. Before we get into the regular show items, folks, I just want to remind everyone that this is an interview-based podcast. It only works if I have people to interview. So please share the show with your friends and ask them to consider coming on the show. And as I've said in previous episodes, you don't have to be a super popular meme account or a Twitch streamer. You can just be a member of the community that wants to share your love for Elder Scrolls as a whole or online itself. Is there anything you've been getting up into the game recently, meme, that you want to share about? How are you feeling about not having your daily logins anymore?
I actually I found that them moving it to the pursuits made more sense to me. I think it rewards a better behavior, which is actually playing the game. Rather than, can I log in every single day, but I'm logging in for 5 seconds to claim my item and then, backing back out. This, kind of rewards someone for actually being more in the game, playing the way that they like to play and, unlocking what you want to unlock. For me, that made sense. But I think that what I've been doing more recently has just been kind of plinking around with like housing projects. I do a lot of housing in ESO. And so trying to just get things moved around the way that I like it is probably the most time-consuming part of the game for me.
But I do agree with you. I do feel that the login reward system there, I remember many a blue moons where it was literally, I just logged into the game to get that and then jump back out.
Yeah.
So, and then what was nice was if there was something neat, I would jump on and get it for me, the wife, and my 3 kids that played before they did some weird thing where they can check that your kids have a kids Microsoft account, and then they just insta-banned and deleted all the kids' accounts at the start of the year.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, that's a shame.
My kids were not very happy about it. I'm like, yeah, I didn't realize it was going to instant ban your accounts, or I wouldn't have bothered logging in.
Right.
I never did get an answer. I did reach out. I was like, hey, why are these accounts being told they're being deleted instantly? Why aren't they just being put into cold storage?
Right.
I
don't know.
That would have made sense. So in Elder Scrolls memes, have you had a favorite chapter or DLC release? Words are hard, guys. Podcasting is difficult.
It is. I do. I think it surprised me to think on this, and I think the answer probably shifts, depending on my mood. But I think overall, Necrom was probably my favorite. And there's a lot of contenders because I think obviously like Morrowind was a really good chapter, Clockwork City, Murkmire is really good. I really enjoyed Elsewhere, but I think for me the ability to explore Morrowind that's non-Vardenfell in kind of a new DLC, explore some new lore about them or lesser known lore about like the city of Necrom, things like that. Splitting it between Apocrypha the way that they did. And then, of course, the ending for Necrom is a really good cliffhanger. And And to top all that off, too, I think that this was still during the time that Zos would send out like items to hype the next chapter, and they sent
Yeah.
out a letter which didn't come with something. They've been sending letters with an item, and there was no item. But if you shine a black light on it, it was the Eye of Mora showed up under the page.
Yeah.
I thought that was excellent. And I thought I went to the event in Vegas as well and had a phenomenal time there. So I think just like all together, like the community felt really invested in it. There was a lot of energy to it. I loved the ending of it. It would have been Gold Road that would have gotten it if they had stuck the landing, I think.
Okay.
I came away with some disappointments in that chapter, but overall I loved it, but just wasn't quite at the level I needed it to be.
I actually haven't touched either of those chapters yet. I own them both.
Oh, really? Okay.
I, man, you think as a guy who does a show about this game, I'd play more. But for some reason, it just doesn't work out that way. And I
Yeah.
am so far behind on content. I did do the 2025 content, but then like missed the third phase of the wall. I
Oh,
forget
yeah,
what
me
happened,
too, actually.
But like basically everybody in our house got sick at the same time. It was just like horrifying. But
Yeah, that'll do it.
it was actually like the most consistently I have streamed on Twitch was during the events on the island leading up to
Yeah.
phase 3. And then
What was
just
that?
like
Solstice, is that right?
yeah, solstice. I just
Yeah, Solstice.
thought of every other island but that, just so we're clear. I knew it started with an S. Why do so
Well,
many
not for nothing, there's like
islands?
30 islands.
Yeah, and like they all start with a sound.
Yeah.
Somerset, Shivering Isles, Shuckloam, and like
That's,
why?
yeah.
Cistern Isles, like there's other sounds in the alphabet, guys. We could pick another sound. I'm certain of it.
Also, they can keep doing more mainland stuff. It's okay. They don't always have to choose an island.
Right? I think that's going to be some of what we see going forward is more of that.
Yeah.
So as we're looking into these things, you said like the changes for the daily login system. How are you feeling about the seasons concept?
So I think I'm split on it because I think I had someone walk through the pricing for it, and my understanding is that the pricing for seasons is more than it would be for getting just like the year-long content pass before. So I have some criticisms on that. But overall, I think that ESO's done a good job of addressing, I think, some consistent issues. So the class refreshes, I think, is a good idea. I think that the what is it like remove or like hide chest and leg armors is gonna make being in the main cities interesting for sure. But I think it also opens up a lot of like possibilities for people building out their character the way they want to build them. So there are a lot of things. Making the season content for free, I think is an incredible choice. So these are things that I think they're leaning it in a healthier direction. And again, I hope that they stick the landing on it. I hope that it's not in the long term still something where people are pouring more and more money into it and maybe getting less as a result.
Yeah, I know for the most part though, it sounds like it's only if you want more pretties. Because the content
Right,
itself is
right.
free. And so
Right.
but as we know from the Crown Store being successful, the people in Elder Scrolls
People
are
like
like
pretties.
yeah, we're all a bunch of ravens behind the screens and
Right.
cameras. This is a human suit I put on. I'm just a raven. We all collect
Right.
shinies. And so what I do enjoy about Elder Scrolls Online is that none of the shinies that we buy influence actual gameplay. So it's not pay to win,
Right.
which is a
Yeah.
big thing. Because, yeah, that's just icky, as the kids say. Icky.
For sure. Yeah. No, I agree. I think that there's definitely choices, that they've made in this season that I think are healthy for the game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing, what the actual content for season or for is it session 0, season 0?
Season 0.
Season 0, that's it. I am interested to see like what it's actually going to look like as implemented. Seeing the roadmap's one thing, but getting a feel for what it's actually like, I think that'll be entertaining. I haven't
I,
put any money into this game in years, but like to see them take a little bit of a step back from monetization in some areas, reduce some monetizations and things like that. I think that's smart.
yeah, it is interesting. With like, there's so much to do in this game. What for yourself has been the best subsystem that's been added to the game over your time playing?
I think the housing was big for me, and that's a big time sink as far as I'm concerned. So, being able to fill up the houses, turn them into something, even if it's something that's like different from what it originally looked like, take something that's really opulent, make it into a ruin or something like that. Uh, Being able to do that, I think, is really freeing. So I really enjoy that system. And I think a close runner-up is probably the antiquities system. I also spend a lot of time doing that, partly because it gives you opportunity to get a lot more furnishings. So the housing fiend in me, the Raven again, is very happy with that portion. But yeah, also getting like incredibly like amazing items and things like that that still don't really work on me because I'm not like someone who has any type of end game build. So yeah, I can get the what is it, the Ring of the Oaken Order or something like that, but it's not going to keep me alive.
Yeah, the antiquities system, I think, has been the number one thing that people have brought up. I would say second on the show
Yeah.
has been housing. Out of our subsystems also comes our companion system. So, who is your top pick for a companion?
For me, I've gone through a couple, and each time like there's a new group, there's like a new favorite that tends to pop up. So
Hmm.
my current favorite is Tan Lauren. I thought the story for Tan Lauren's uh, like character arc was very interesting. I liked all the different flower names. I liked the different, that was very fun to me. And a close runner-up, I think, would be Ember because I think we're all just kind of a little trash fire, and so I think Ember really personifies that.
Nice. Tam Lauren is actually the only story I've been working at actively because I have her partnered with my main
Oh
right
yeah,
now. And plus they were free. I didn't have the other chapters that the other ones came with before. I just
right, right,
got
right.
those. And so I started with Tan Lauren, and I did start the process with the Necro Kitty, um, whose name I can't remember again.
I
But
unfortunately don't remember it either,
yeah,
but very cool character. I
yeah,
really like the storyline that I've played through so far of him, but I haven't finished it yet.
nice. Yeah, I think
Necro Kitty.
yeah, Necro Kitty. It's just easier. Which companion would you say has been your least favorite? Do you have a least favorite?
Um, oh, what's their name? For me, it was I think Bastion Hallex, but not because of anything that he's done wrong. I don't hate him.
Hmm.
I think he might be one of the original ones. It was him and Miri Elendis, and I think they tended to be a little more. Like, if you stole something or if you did something like that, that they'd come down really hard on you. So I think there was like I'm less likely to use them as a result. So sorry, Bastion, for getting the short end of the stick, but
It seems to be a
I think that's
common
probably
theme
where
for
my
him.
where my choice lies. Say what?
I think it's a common theme for him. Minwee specifically mentioned
Yeah,
how he can't stand him because he doesn't like cheese, and Minwee's
that's
from
it.
the cheese
Yeah,
state of the Midwest, so he's like, that's not allowed. Can't talk smack about cheese, but got him leveled up, so I could say he's leveled up. But he's done. He's in a shelf.
right.
Poor Bastion.
Yeah.
So, memes, what kind of events do you enjoy in game? Is there a specific type that you're like, this is the thing I always aim for whenever they say is coming up around the bend?
I've actually really enjoyed the Hearts Day one that came out because I felt like it was more there was more quests involved in it. It's not just go kill four bears, kind of stuff. If you get your free item if you go and do a daily quest, which is you know slay four bears or something like that.
Yeah.
So I like it when it's not just sort of I'm going through the motions because I know that the thing I'm going to get is enjoyable, but if the actual event itself is enjoyable, I tend to have a better time. So uh, things that have a little bit more quest items in it, like I do feel like I enjoy and I surprise myself with it. But the White Strikes Mayhem, I actually enjoy because there's a little bit more quest questiness involved, if that makes any sense.
Hmm.
So you still have to get to the place, you still have to do the quest, you still have to survive and get back. Um, there's something enjoyable in that. So I've surprised myself by actually liking PvP for once.
That's awesome. I think
Yeah. What about you?
this past year being the exception, New Life Festival is typically the one I use to get myself back in if I've been kind of taking a hiatus or not making much
That's a
time
good
for the
one.
game. And this year they had the
Mhm.
new content, and we weren't even home for most of it, so it just didn't happen for us. We had,
That's a
and then
shame.
so Mr. Elder Memes, it would be most appropriate for us to discuss the memes. As I was going
Ah,
through, and as I've seen your content over the years, I do feel like you have a sweet spot or a special place in your heart for Morrowind based content.
you might be right there.
So, was Morrowind your first foray into the gaming these games? Man, my
It
tongue today.
it was, yeah. No, Morrowind was my first, so I want to say it was in 2002. Uh, like a lot of teenagers, your parent drags you to the store and you're like, buy me something. So I got this game for like 20 bucks. Didn't know what it was. Had no concept of what kind of game it was going to be. I just liked the picture on the back of the dark elf, holding the sword sideways. It looks really cool.
Hmm.
So I ended up getting this game, and it's like, okay, very familiar looking, like, you know, town hamlet. Is that a giant flea next to the town? What's going on? Um, the alienness of it, and then the hey, that's as much tutorial as you're going to get is just that building. Good luck. I'd never played a game like that. I was playing it on the original Xbox, so I'd never played a game on Xbox like that.
Hmm.
So it was an incredible game, and I found myself really obsessed with it, and that's carried me to now. So what I typically tell people, and this is the tone I tend to take with my memes, is that Morrowind is the best story I think I've ever found in a game, but it's wrapped in the worst game I've ever played. So it's janky beyond belief. It's held together with like it was made out of stone knives and bear skins, and it's the kind of game that like I don't really tell people, oh, you should go play it, because I used to do that when it was brand new. I told people to go play it, and they'd laugh me back out of the room when they got done with it. So they didn't understand it. So it was the kind of game that was just for me. I didn't even realize it was something other people played. Um, but yeah, for memes, I tend to say that it's the best story and the worst game, and so out of either side of my mouth, I'll either say it's a perfect game or that Morrowind sucks, and just see whatever I feel in the moment and just post that.
Nice. So, how do you go from I really love this janky game to, you know what, I'm gonna create an account dedicated to memes around this anthology of history and fiction and fantasy
Yeah.
about this janky game.
So this was probably 10 years ago. I had moved to a new town. I had been in a writing group. I'd done a lot of writing, like long form, novel length work, things like that. And I knew that I was now in a new town, no money, needed a job. I wasn't going to have time to do writing groups to get that sort of creative feeling out. So I knew it needed to be something short form. So I went to Twitter. And I knew it was going to be something that I already enjoyed, but maybe I hadn't explored as deeply in terms of getting involved in the community. And so that was where Elder Scrolls came in. So it sort of narrowed me immediately into the area where fertile ground for making a meme page. And at the time, there really wasn't a lot of meme pages on Twitter specifically catering to that kind of thing, as I discovered just by sort of existing in that space for a little while.
Hmm.
And it kind of just grew naturally from there was from this like desire to just talk about this game, especially specifically to Morrowind, but then more broadly, the game series itself, and just you know make jokes about it and talk crap about it, but also in a way that says like, I kind of love it really at the end of the day.
That's awesome. Not everyone's beginnings of a thing is a natural, like, oh, this made sense to me. A lot of people are like, honestly, I don't know
Right.
how I got here. With
Yeah.
your memes, though, do you have any favorites of yours or other ones you've seen in the community that you're like, I always think about this one?
I think there's a couple that I make that are like reaction memes that I use fairly frequently. Like I made one of Mehrunes Dagon from the ESO cinematic, and in the ESO cinematic, he's holding the book, right? The Mysterium Xarxes, and walking. And I edited out the book and put a phone, so it's like
Yeah.
Mehrunes Dagon's just like looking down at his phone, sort of like he looks a little like disgusted with whatever he's seeing, and I use that pretty ridiculously. So that's probably a favorite of mine. I mean, in terms of like favorite memes, really anything that's like lowest common denominator Morrowind trash. If it's about Tariel or Fargoth or something like that, like it's gonna get a laugh out of me probably. Um, just Dagothar or like Cliff Racers. I think that's just always gonna get a kick.
Yeah.
But like anything, really like anything from Mickey D, like she's fantastic. Anything like Weather Dragon's great if you, especially if you want something that's like deep lore. I feel like Weather Dragon's got some good posts. Lindog's a good one. Pretty consistently funny. I think like there's a lot that you can get. I exist now on Blue Sky, so more of it's like uh, Mickey D, Weather Dragon, Dagothar the God, things like that, where you're gonna find consistently good memes. So now there's a whole community of it, so it's easy to find.
Yeah. As you were naming some, I grabbed some of them off of your page so that for the video
Oh
listeners, we
yeah,
can throw those up and they can see some of that as I have
excellent.
your Blue Sky open. So on that notion, so you've moved completely away from Twitter.
I have, yeah.
Yeah. I also made that change, especially with around the same time its name changed. I was like, out the door.
Time to go. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
I've seen a
fair.
lot of people make the jump, and there's some people who maybe hold on to both, and like I'm not going to render any judgment on somebody who sticks around for whatever their reason is. For me, I had to get out of there. It had become a place that I hated logging onto, um, and so I stuck around a little bit after the name change. In my head, I was like, "This is my house." You know what I mean? Get out of my
Mm,
house. This is where I live. I had made a platform there of 79,000 followers over the course of nearly 10 years. And it got to the point where like every time I posted, there was some group of bots or whatever that would call me whatever they felt like calling me. So it just got to where I was like, it feels poisonous to even log on. So Blue Sky came along, I think, at exactly the time that I needed it.
mm.
Um, and I've made the jump. I haven't looked back. So it's been a great change for me. I actually can post and not feel like, I don't know, worse about myself at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And this is a great segue into how I have seen you utilize your memes for activism and promoting
Oh,
of
thank you.
some better ideologies and thought processes. And I wanted to touch on it because that's like, I have pride for you in that you do this because a lot of people will not, with their platform, get into political
Right.
things. And unless it directly impacts them. And so,
Right.
like, kudos to you for that. Did you find that that was a natural thing for you? Or was there like a tipping point where, like, this, I need to do this?
I think for certain things, it made sense to talk about it within a fandom. So like I started maybe putting posts up about like, you know, because obviously every fandom has its like rotten areas that you don't want to interact with.
Yeah.
And Elder Scrolls has that in a very like specific to Morrowind, uh, very racially motivated jokes that they think is okay because it's like, oh well, I'm putting in the stand and the fictional stand-in is there, so it's an Argonian now. Isn't this funny? Laugh. Oppression is funny. Like that's so when I saw that in the fandom, it's like, well, obviously I don't want to do that, and not saying anything about it at all isn't going to make that better or worse, right? It's just going to let them continue
Hmm.
with wherever they are. So I wanted a spot that I knew wouldn't have that, and that if someone tried to come in and undercut, you know, comment underneath to add that, they were just going to get the boot, you know, no memes for you.
Hmm.
And I think it grew from there because I think a lot of the things that I post memes about that have some kind of political element to it is directly affecting that fandom specifically. You know, so whether it's so I have anti-capitalist memes of like, you know, the greedy shareholder taking, you know, monetizing everything and blah blah blah, and then getting rid of all of the devs. And you know, we have a lot of mass layoffs and things like that that directly affect Bethesda. You know,
Hmm.
we had one that ZeniMax Online's entire secret group that was making a new MMO just got completely liquidated, you know, and I know people in that group. So it seemed like it was something that I wasn't going to just not touch on. It needed to be touched on. And you know, a lot of these things that happen with Xbox, you know, there's currently a BDS boycott. They have, you know, their own issues with the AI, Asha Sharma becoming CEO and getting rid of Spencer after however many, you know, 29 years.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, her gamer tag's a month and a half old. Let's see how this is going to work. So there's things like that that directly impact the fandom that I know I'm going to talk about. And then there's other things that I'm just going to talk about because hell with it, I'm just gonna. I've I've been a long believer that at the end of the day, it's not like you know, Bethesda doesn't own the meme page, so I can kind of post whatever I feel like,
Yeah.
whether they'd agree with it or not.
That's the whole
So
point of a
there
meme.
is a piece of me there that's like, well, I'm just gonna say what I'm gonna say. You know, obviously I'm not gonna try to say anything that gets a knock at the door from Homeland Security or something. But like, I wanna be able to speak my mind in a way that empowers people to feel like, you know, if they're in a group that maybe feels marginalized, that they have a place where they don't have to worry about feeling picked apart or targeted.
Hmm.
Where I know that there's other areas in the fandom where that's the case. So I know that like I'm all over the board talking about it, and I know that there could be any one element of it I could sit and talk about for an hour, but I think at the end of the day, it was just I wanted to have a place that didn't suck, you know, and that's really where it was I wanted
That's fair.
there
That's
to be a
fair.
place where people don't feel like crap when they leave, and so a lot of that just stems from that feeling.
Oh, that's awesome. A big thing that has come and been at the forefront of my thought as of late has been the idea of whatever you permit, you promote. So if you're not going to speak
I
up and
like that.
speak out about it, then you're basically saying it's okay. But it kind of
Yeah.
ties into that concept of like when good men do nothing.
Yeah,
And
it's a
it's,
silence is a choice. It's not a passive thing. It doesn't take you out of the decision making process. Silence is a choice.
yeah.
So saying something must also be a choice, and it's a harder choice oftentimes.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part. And that's for some people, it's not something. So that is, like I said, something that I have
Right.
pride in of for you. And I think it's great that you have
Oh,
that as part of your character and part of your memes because I think it's good.
well, thank you. Thank you very much.
As you said, you've been doing this for like a decade, which does that
Yeah.
feel worse when I say a decade instead of 10 years? Does that make you feel like it's been longer?
So I'm a few weeks from 40. And like if you had told me at 40 I would be like making memes about a video game that I liked, like that would probably be a depressing thing to hear. but there's other things involved in life that make it good. It's not, so that's not the only thing I'm hanging on to. Um, so yeah, it's definitely weird having done it for as long as I have. You do get to see like patterns emerge
Hmm.
in fandoms when you exist in them for a long time. Anyone who's a Star Wars fan for a long time has consistently seen, I think, cycles of the same behavior in their fandom.
Yeah.
So you see it here too. So it's just it's interesting to look back and to be like, that was the era where I was going to a lot of events, and that's the era where I was, talking a lot with UESP or something like that, and this was the era where I was plugged in with Skywind and that kind of thing. It's kind of neat to look back and see it, in that kind of way. It's interesting.
So from your history and your knowledge and your experience, is there any lessons that you've learned from this or insight you would be like, hey, if you're gonna get into this type of space as somebody looking to
Mhm.
be like, maybe I want to make some memes. What kind of things would you share
Yeah.
for some tidbits?
I'd say that for me, the two things that helped most was consistency and interaction. So, especially starting out, I knew kind of uh, who my viewers were going to be or who I wanted them to be, like what I wanted my demographic to look like, and I'm aiming directly at Elder Scrolls fans, so I'm going where Elder Scrolls fans go. So on Twitter, I'd be commenting under UESP posts, or I would be commenting under Elder Scrolls Online posts and things like that, and cracking jokes, and maybe I post a meme or two, and that kind of interaction started building the networking of people retweeting it and sending it out and letting it grow. So I think that those two things were really big for me was posting consistently, whatever that looks like for you, whatever your content is, doing it consistently enough that, you kind of get to know the cadence of it, and your viewers, your listeners, your whoever will do the same. And then yeah, just interact with the people that you want to interact with and get that conversation going because it's not going to just appear overnight. You kind of have to kickstart it.
Hmm.
And then apart from that, just like, you know, take risks. Give yourself permission to fail. And, because it's not really failure, it's you learn from it. So I think those three might be the top pieces of advice that I could give if I'm even in a position to give advice.
I think you are. I think everyone can learn something from somebody. And
Absolutely.
something I always tell my kids is you can learn something from everyone. Even the person who's the dumbest in the room can still teach you what not to do.
Right. I used to go to this game store that used to play. I don't know if you ever played Star Wars miniatures. It's a now defunct game, but
Hmm.
Wizards of the Coast made it back in the day.
Really?
Little plastic, Star Wars figures. Um, and I used to play these like tournaments there, and there was this guy who always got two very specific rules wrong.
Hmm.
But he'd been playing it forever, and no one could tell him not to do it that way. It was just the way he was going to do it. And I said, go ahead. Actually had the guidebook for the game, and I was like, oh, show me the rule for that. And I paused. We paused the game, let him walk through it, and I've never seen someone so mad. He actually grabbed his stuff, shook my hand, and left. Um, Came back the next day and was like fine, and he was like, hey,
Just
sorry,
like
sorry, I blew up.
I was so mad at
But it was
myself that
like
I
he
couldn't
had
even
been
deal with this
so
anymore.
Yeah, well, he was so adamant that, that is the way you have to play it. And it's like, well,
Hmm.
here's the rules that don't say that. Sorry. Like we'll play it a different way, but like this is what the rules are.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it was just interesting to see the shift because after he had some time to think about it, he's like, you know what? It's probably for the better that you told me. Thank you.
Yeah. So besides this now defunct Star Wars miniatures game, is there any other hobbies or facts you'd like to share with the community about yourself?
I mean, I have a lot of interests outside of Elder Scrolls, but typically video game oriented. So obviously, I'm a big fan of Elder Scrolls, but also a fan of Star Wars, fan of Sonic the Hedgehog, things like that. So a lot of sort of video game history. Final Fantasy VII, a lot of these iconic games that I sort of played growing up that still stick with me. Those are ones that I could talk about probably as much as Elder Scrolls.
Nice.
So that's probably my thing is I'm a fan of old games. I'm a collector of old games and old systems and things like that. Um, I don't know. I think it's just as fun to play the old stuff. It's a different type of fun, but I don't know. I find I enjoy it just as much as turning on Morrowind or Elder Scrolls Online.
Well, with that notion, I feel like that's a good point to plug in Robot's new show, Retro Recall.
Okay.
Him and one of the guys from the 40K Lorecast, have been going through and replaying games from 30 years ago and challenging each other.
Nice.
And then whenever one of them can't complete a challenge, they have to go and play a game that is notoriously horrible. I haven't checked out the podcast myself. They got quite a few episodes now. I just remember someone on the Elder Scrolls Lorecast had mentioned, "Hey, I've just checked this out," and as they were on for their patron chat, and they just shouted out the show to let Tom know, "Yeah, this actually, I didn't think I would like it, but I've actually really enjoyed it." So might be something
That's
you
pretty
should check
cool.
out.
Yeah. It's so sad for me to be like 30 years ago was 1996, and I have a lot of games older than that.
Hey, folks, welcome to the mid-ish break. I got to come up with a better name for that because it never ends up being in the middle. Anyways, looking to change things up a little bit with the mid break. So if you've been enjoying the show, please let others know. Leave a review wherever you're listening to the show, or if you're watching a video version on a video Spotify or on YouTube. Rating and reviewing the show is what will help other people find it. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can find us on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, and on YouTube. All of those are with at 10th Divine Podcast. You can email the show, 10th Divine Podcast at gmail.com. You can leave a comment on Spotify. Those are fun. And as from like the podcaster side of things, the UI that I get to interact with is actually really well done. So it's actually easy for me to see comments and stuff. You can also find me with at Crown SOESS0 in all those same places, or you can come hang out on Twitch. I have been minorly obsessed with a game called Star Rupture. It's in early release. It's kind of like if Satisfactory and Dead Space tried to make a baby. Is probably the best way to describe that. If you'd like to support the show, you can go to ko-fi.com/thepiercefamily, PEARCE. And of course, you should always go and check out our friends over at robotsradio.net. Or if you're looking for MMO focused podcasts, go check out our friends at bonusroll.gg. Currently, on the notion of extra life things with the Elder Heroes team, we do have this year's team page set up. My page is set up. Links for those will be in the show notes. Gone Crazy Back Soon has registered for the Lore Seekers, and she's got her page up. When we're currently just between the two of us, and it's only the 7th of March right now, just between the two of us, we've actually raised $352 already this year. Thank you to those who have already supported us this year. March has some limited opportunities for earning a board game. So anybody who raises $30, anybody, you can register for free. You don't have to do the premium registration. If you earn $30 this month, you could earn a game from the guys who make Unlocked, which if you don't know is kind of a weird game. My son has a copy of it. We played the Wizard of Oz one over Christmas. It can take quite a while, but you get punished if you make mistakes. It's kind of fun. It uses an app and a board game feature. And so while supplies last, anybody who earns $30 in the month of March, can unlock an unlocked board game right in time for Tabletop Weekend, which happens on April 12th and in around that date. That's International Tabletop Day for anybody who didn't know. Why? I'm not sure, but it is. And so Tabletop Gaming Weekend now happens in April to coincide with this nationally recognized day instead of being in August like it used to be. And there are additional prizes for fundraising in the month of April, including extra life themed dice bag and a couple other little things that you can pick between. I'm not sure what a meeple is, but there's a meeple option. And a couple other cool things. So if you are interested in checking any of that out, of course, you can find Extra Life on their socials or you can check out the Elder Heroes team socials. We share all that stuff, and it's also on our Discord if you want to come check that out. That mid-break was a mouthful, but we're going to try it out a little bit longer there, a little bit shorter on the end cap. All right, memes, you ready for some for funsy questions?
I'm ready.
All right. What zone in Elder Scrolls Online do you call home?
I think for me, most often, I'm in Morrowind. That tends to be my city that I land in when I need to get quick access to a bank or quick access to like dailies and things like that. So I'll end up in Vivek. Um, I also enjoy like jumping around Necrom, or I also find like Deadlands is fun. So those are like runner-ups for me. But Morrowind tends to be the one that I go back to.
This is my shocked face.
Yeah, I know. Very shocking.
Which character development system throughout all the games that you've played for Elder Scrolls has been your favorite?
Oh, that's tough. Probably ESO, to be honest, just because the level of customization is really strong.
Yeah, that's
Morrowind
really
was
changed
good for
recently.
what it was, but it's yeah, just picking your face out of 6 faces maybe isn't as robust. It worked for the time. 2002 was like, wow, this is pretty phenomenal.
But we had
But to
capes.
see, say what?
But we had capes then.
We had capes.
That was the big thing with Daggerfall 2, watching Lotus play through it. And it's like, he could put on
uh,
like 8 capes and a hood and a cloak and armor. I'm like, what is this system
yeah,
that this is that you're going to like just put
I
on
I will
layers
say
of
the armor
clothing?
system for Morrowind I miss, because being able to say, okay, I'm going to enchant my chest piece and both my pauldrons, and then both of my bracers and my boots and my belt and my pauldrons or whatever. Like you're getting 25 different items that you put on your body, including shirt and pants.
Yeah.
And all of that put together, you can have some insane amount of magic involved in it. So you end up being this like, you look like you're saran wrapped, because everything's glowing, but
It's funny.
like you look like an oil spill, but you're incredibly powerful.
That's awesome. Yeah. I have so many imageries going through my mind right now. I'm just kind of chuckling at. If you could bring an ideology or belief system from Nirn to Earth, what would it be?
Dark Brotherhood. No.
Um,
Um,
Pretty sure we have
I
some of that already going on.
probably it already exists, to be completely honest. And they've made it a lot more efficient. You don't have to do the whole like Black Sacrament and everything.
Yeah.
You just have to know the right guy. Um, I think maybe to go more Bosmer, the idea of like the Wilder Queen, this or Wilder King, depending on who, but like sort of an actual like the spirit of the world kind of concept that can and will get militant if it needs to be. It can fight back on its own. Uh, to me would be great. Um, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the other like ideologies have some cliffhanger part that I'm like, ooh, that actually wouldn't be good if we introduce that here.
Yeah. That's actually a good one. Um, I have an issue, like, I have difficulty, I guess would be a better way of saying it, with like understanding why within the Bosmer zones, it's like there's 3 different main zones to begin with, and each one of them has their own like wilderness ruler. Because you also have like the Green Lady, and then you have the
Yeah,
Wilder
the
King,
Sylvanin.
and then you have the
Yeah,
old tree and the talking tree in that other spot. It's like, so what's the hierarchy? Like, are you guys like same tier? Are you guys like somebody's at
do you
top of you
write
guys?
letters? Are you in a group
Right? Do
together?
you guys have a group chat going? Like I'm curious how these essentially different versions of a government for these different parts of the
Right.
forest, like how do they interact on their borders the different forest
Yeah.
demigods. Like, I feel like there could be some more exploration in that, or maybe I just haven't seen that. But my wife's a bosnian. I
Yeah.
spend a lot of time in the woods,
Yeah.
So I feel like I know enough
I
to know that they exist, but like I feel like there could be
yeah.
more.
I only know this is only top of mind for me because I run a tabletop Elder Scrolls game with some people, and we're currently we're playing in an area of Valenwood. So I did a lot of digging into like what's the government structure, what's the, who are the people in charge, and that kind of thing. And it's like it seems like the Wilder king or queen is sort of the voice of the forest itself, and then like the Green Lady is like or the Sylvanin is the political power of the Wood Elf people, and then the Green Lady is like the martial prowess, like the actual militant might of the people. So it's kind of an interesting like dynamic for those two. But like as far as whether they communicate or not, like I don't know. It's like the best you can get.
Turns out that's why stranglers exist. They're just actually a secret communicative technique. We just haven't figured it
That's
out
it.
yet.
Yeah.
They're not trying to
Just passing
strangle
notes
you. They're
back
just
and
trying to
forth with a
talk
big
to
long
you.
tongue.
Yeah. I steal your voice. Oh man, that'd be even weirder
That's
if they started
fantastic.
talking to you after with your own voice after they licked you. Oof.
Well, if they do like more, I know that the entire map area of Valenwood is kind of explored already, but they could pop something in the middle there as like a deep woods area, and explore it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind a talking whatever they're called, those thresher maw looking guys.
Yeah. Um, so if we were to flip that around, are there any ideologies or belief systems that you would actually find interesting if they were to find their way into Elder Scrolls?
No, I don't think we've made anything that really is of any interest to me personally. I don't like any real world stuff in my games personally. Um,
Keep it fantasy as
I think
all
they
possible.
right. What I will say is they've touched on some things that it's like, oh, they're on the cusp of greatness.
Which race is your go-to race? Like, do you jump on to as a dark elf by default because of Morrowind, or is there a different race that's your preference?
I think 9 times out of 10 I start with Dunmer and then I'll play around. So with Skyrim when that first came out, I chose Dunmer, played a Dunmer character, and then played around more with like Orc or Imperial or something like that just to kind of get a different gameplay style. But typically that's where I start. So the character I have right now is an Imperial, and so M is an Imperial that was like raised by the Waking Flame cult that like worships Mehrunes Dagon. And like so background is okay, grew up in this cult, does not know anything about how people in Tamriel act.
Yeah.
And then they're thrown into Tamriel and they're like, this place rules. Like of course I don't want to take this place over. But now you have a character with like no social niceties or understanding that like, hey, you're actually incredibly intimidating. Stop doing that. You're intimidating people.
Nice.
So, but that came kind of just out of the Blackwood chapter. And I had been playing a Dunmer character for years prior to that.
What is your
That's
favorite
awesome. I mean, I feel
type
like
of
I've
vacation?
played. Oh, sorry.
All good.
Favorite vacation for me. I think just going somewhere I've never been, in a more like general sense, and exploring, a place that's different from where I live. So,
Nice.
I've been lucky enough to do a little bit of international travel. And each time there's things that I have in common and things that I don't, and it helps inform me that I'm not the main character of everything, which is a good lesson to learn sometimes. And that my way of viewing things is not always the right way.
Not being the main character is one of those realizations I think more people need to have. Most
Yeah.
of us spend our entire lives stuck on fetch quests. And
For sure.
that's the best part about parenting is you realize how much of an NPC you are because all you're doing is handing out fetch quests.
Right.
Go get this. Go do that. Don't come back to me until you've done this 3 times. If your main character was to go on a vacation, what would their idea of a vacation look like?
That's a hard one. Maybe like, Somerset Isles somewhere. Somewhere where there's just like a beach and like everything's very, picturesque. Something like that.
It's a very nice zone.
I think that would be. Yeah, it's a beautiful zone. It's fantastic. What about you? Do you have like a character that they have a particular location they'd go to?
I have a scholar type. She's the only high elf I've ever played, and so her RP is that she wants to understand what happened to the Dwemer, and so she rides the dwarven warhorse around and has a dwarven spider for a pet. And
Okay, nice.
so I think her idea of a vacation would just be spending more time in a Dwemer ruin, but not being
Yeah.
distracted or annoyed by anybody. She could just focus on what she's trying to do instead of having all these other things to deal with all the time. I think that would be her thing. My main character
Comes back in a Hawaiian shirt, no tan, dirty. Where were you? Oh, 2 Left-Inth, down the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Arking Thams.
what is your favorite in-game location? Is it just Morrowind, or is it a specific spot of Morrowind, or is there another spot completely that you're just like, actually, this spot is really awesome?
I think for me, and then maybe it's because this is probably like my favorite quest from Morrowind, is the Cavern of the Incarnate. And you go to it in ESO and it's cool. But the gameplay for Morrowind laying out, there's a prophecy. We think that you might fill the prophecy, but we might be wrong. You have to go and test yourself against these prophecies. And by the time you get to the Cavern of the Incarnate, you're pretty sure you're the one. You know what I mean? And you get in there, and there's a bunch of ghosts that say, I was the Nerevarine too, and I failed, and here's how I failed. And the mind-blowing idea of that, of like, I could be a failed incarnate stuck in this place, was so palpable playing this game back in the day. So I think like that area for me, like that particular spot and the feeling that I felt when I was first playing the game, I think that to me is like a favorite location.
Is that a spot you can get to in ESO or no?
I think you can go inside of it. Like it's part of the quest line, but you can't like return to it. Like you can't jump in and out of it, I don't think. But it is part of like the quest line. Like you'll go in and I think talk to Azura, but I'm not positive. It's been a little bit since I played the Morrowind quest in ESO.
Yeah, my wife and I had started to. My wife likes to go around and do all the siding things first, and find all the little findable things, complete all the little the etchings for Vardenfell. Like that was her mission at that time.
Oh yeah.
So what ends up happening is I have characters that I log in and I go, why am I here? Oh right, I was running with my wife. Okay, log out of this character. He can stay there until her and I can jump on together. And some of those characters have been sitting there for a couple of years because my wife has had other priorities.
Right.
But,
Life happens.
And life has been happening. I tell you what, there's been a lot of things in our life the last couple of years. What is you mentioned you collect things, and you even mentioned retro consoles, so I feel like this is the perfect question to have for you. What is your favorite retro console?
I think for me, it's the Sega Genesis. That was one I grew up on when I was younger. Yeah, so that was definitely the one that I was raised on. So it's special to me for that. But I've got a lot of the stuff I kind of grew up playing. So I have the original Xbox, which I'll go back to pretty regularly. Mrs. Memes loves to play the Lord of the Rings games. Two Towers and Return of the King on that. Incredible games. I'd never played them until we got an original Xbox and got those games to play. So she got to relive them. I got to experience them for the first time. It was pretty cool. Nice. But I also have I have up on my shelf behind me a Sega Master System which was the precursor to Genesis, the 8-bit. So that was when I also grew up on, original PlayStation was big. So all those RPGs of like, Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9, Chrono Cross, things like that. Um, those were always pretty top tier for me. But yeah, the Sega Genesis with like Sonic and Knuckles with Sonic 3 on top, and like I'm good. Like you can just leave me alone. I'm fine after that.
That's awesome. My dental office as a kid had a Sega Genesis.
That's an incredible memory.
Right? Like, just, I don't know. That was like the only thing that they had. They had a VHS TV,
Yeah.
like with the VHS player built into it, and it was hooked up to a Sega Genesis. Why they had it, but that was like their kid space had the Sega Genesis, and then like a bunch of random Legos for while your parents were waiting for your appointment.
So you wanted to go to the dentist.
Right? Yeah, just for that, and then
Like every week, you're like, Mom, take me to the dentist.
right,
Like chipping your teeth on purpose.
right. Oh, my mom would have been so mad. Um, as far as Sega consoles go, I like the VMUs that the Dreamcast had, because essentially like miniature Game
Okay.
Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
yeah,
it was like a little memory card, is that right?
yeah,
But they had like chow gardens in them,
yeah,
didn't they?
yeah. There was just like it was like
Yeah, yeah,
switching
yeah.
a
I
shrink
remember
ray
those.
to an original Game Boy because it had an A B and an up down left right, but it was also your memory card. And I remember like my friend had one, and I bought a VMU just so I could take a Chow home with me and like Tamagotchi it up while I wasn't over at my
Yeah.
friend's house playing. And yeah, I remember my mom being so mad. You did what? I bought this thing. Why? Well, it's for so and so's Dreamcast. Why? Well,
It made sense at the time.
like trying to explain to her, well, I can download these little characters onto it and keep them alive, and then when I go back to his house, I can put them back in with the game there, and they're like super happy, and I can take an unhappy one and bring it home with me. It's like I'm still playing that game. I also always really liked companion apps, so like it's just kind of a thing for me, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, memes.
That did make sense back in the day.
It did. It was great. Oh, so much cool stuff. Like,
Oh yeah. Well, the old tech is always going to feel good to me because it does exactly what you're expecting it to do. And I think the problem with all modern technology is like I don't need my TV to ask if it's doing okay or to ask me to leave a review, or I don't need my, Game Boy to be like, hey, by the way, here's the hottest games this week. I have 3 games on my Game Boy and that's what I'm going to play.
yeah,
Just tech was just like it does the thing it was made for and then that's it. And it had no additional, hey, let's pull all your contacts out of your phone and send them a message that you're playing this game on Facebook or what. Like, it doesn't have to be this. It can just be
yeah.
simple. It can just play the game, and the game can be finished when you get it, and it doesn't have to have, 45 additional updates. That's
I
the old man in me. I'm already like I'm feeling it. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna be one of those 80-year-olds
back
who's
in
like,
my day.
back in the day, back in my day, the good stuff.
That's too funny. I actually had like the image flash to talk about old stuff. There was a refrigerator in the 1950s that opened in both directions.
Okay.
It just depended on which way you grabbed the handle. It would change from being the opening side to being the hinge side, just as a response to the door handle being pulled. So you could literally close
Yeah,
the fridge and grab the other side and open it the other way.
I liked that weirdly.
Right? It's neat. And then also, it doesn't matter where you put the refrigerator, you just open it up the way you need to open it for the room you're in.
Yeah, I like that.
It was super cool. I watched this video on it. I was like, that is really neat. That this to me should have
I'm
been
gonna go
something
get
that
one
was
now.
like a mainstay of refrigerators. I'm kind of disappointed we lost out on that.
Right.
Anyways, memes, thank you for joining us today. Could you tell the
Of
listeners
course, happy
where
to
they
be
can
here.
find you?
Sure. I am on Blue Sky, so I am the Elder Memes, all one word. Dot blue sky dot or dot bsky dot social.
Nice. Uh, you were playing around with streaming a bit at one point. Are you still doing that at all?
I pop in and out. I typically am like a once a year streamer, if that makes any sense. Hop on just for fun, but I'm not. I've not been on quite as often as I used to. But I used to stream weekly. I think was what I had it.
Nice. Well, so there's a couple
Yeah,
ways for everybody can get in touch with you. Thanks everybody for tuning into the show. Thank you, memes, for coming on to the show. It's been super fun. Um, and I aim to return in a fortnight with another lovely chat of Elder Scrolls and another fantastic guest. Top scenes, everybody.